Section 15.7 in Consumer Mathematics. Here we're looking at selling price markup based on cost. Okay, so now we're going to look at taking that selling, by figuring out what that selling price is versus our cost and then a markup that we want. So some businesses uses our cost of an item and the desired markup rate based on the cost to compute that selling price. One method for arriving at the selling price when the markup rate is based on the cost basically uses these following formulas. So we look at markup equals the cost times the markup rate on the cost, and then our selling price is going to be the cost plus our markup. So basically, if we have a company and say our product costs $50 and we want a markup of 50%. So then we're going to figure out our markup on the cost. So we're going to take our percent times the cost, and then we're going to add it into whatever it costs, and that's going to give us our selling price then. So a little different than the past one where we wanted the markup based off of a selling price to figure out what's going on. So boxwood shrub costs $50. Markup is 70% of the cost. Okay, so on problem 1 here, we're going to find part A tells us to find the markup. So we're going to take our cost, which is $50, multiply by our percent of markup. So we're going to multiply by 0.7 here to give us $35. So this is our markup. So now our selling price, we're going to take the $50 that we cost. So that's what we had to pay originally as for our business. Plus then now we're going to add in our markup to it. So now we're going to sell it at $85 a shrub. Number 2 talks about end table. So an end table costs $140. Markup is 150%. Now do realize I used to work in the furniture business. Anytime you walk into a furniture store, this is a very traditional markup, or if not even more, of what any store out there has. I mean, for the most part, some stores run lower markups, but many of them have a very big markup in there. Now do realize they have a very large operating expense between having to have all these guys to move furniture around, trucks to haul things. It's not just like you can load it up in a cheap car that would get a better mileage. You got to have a heavier duty truck, which that mileage is. So they got a heavier operating expense or an overhead. So that's why this markup generally is larger. So when we look at this, our markup is going to be taking our cost of $140, multiplying by our markup percent. So 150% would be 1.5. Once again, remember only 2 decimal place movements to change that percent to a decimal. So that's $210 in markup. So that means we're going to take $140 plus $210 for $350. So basically, they bought it at this, and they're selling it at this price. So next time you go into a furniture store, I want you to look at those prices. Look at what they have, and do realize that, yeah, their markup is fairly high in that store. But also realize that you don't know those operating expenses. You don't know that overhead that they have. You know, as a business is larger, they need to have more items that go into it. Next thing we're going to look at is number 21. Okay, so on number 21 here, they talk about dog collars. So it says the pet company buys dog collars from a manufacturer for $1.48 each. It marks up each collar 356% of that cost. So to find our markup, we're going to take our $1.49 cost. We're going to multiply by our percent markup, so 3.59 as a value there, means that we have $5.27 that we're marking this up at. So this is our markup. This is our gross profit. So that means now we're going to take our cost plus our markup to mean we're going to sell this collar for $6.75. So once again, this section takes a look at how does a company have their selling price, once again based off of what they pay for the item and a percentage that they want to make off that item.